Give me coffee to change the things I can, and whiskey to accept the ones I cannot. I'm pretty sure I read this anonymous quote outside a pub somewhere in the UK, but the proper drinking of malt Scotch whisky is certainly more than just indulgence. As David Dyches put it, Scotch whisky is a toast to civilization, a tribute to the continuity of culture, and a manifesto of man's determination to make the best use of nature's resources. That this liquid sunshine is made up of just three basic ingredients, barley, water, and yeast, is a testament to this determination. Barley is the cereal of choice and the only one used to make Scotch malt whisky. It is available in abundance along the eastern coast of Scotland and England, but the selection of the right type of barley is essential in making the perfect malt. High in starch, low in protein, and a larger grain size is preferred, giving it the ability to germinate well. A famous Scotch saying goes, "What rains today turns into whiskey tomorrow." This is true as Scotland is blessed with fresh water from its numerous lakes. Each distillery draws its water from local sources and it forms the foundation of the flavor characteristics of their whiskey, which are further influenced by the peat and wood used for the casks. To create the malt, barley is first steeped into warm water for 2 days in a bath roused with cool air. The addition of water happens in 2 or 3 steps over the period of 2 days. To manifest germination, the grain is kept at a controlled temperature and humidity for over 6 to 10 days. The germinated, damp barley is then taken to the kiln, laid out on the kiln floor where it is heated to remove moisture and arrest germination. Heating the furnace with peat is what gives peaty whiskies its smoky and robust flavor. Kilning takes up to 48 hours before the dried barley is transferred for milling. The barley is first dressed to remove any unwanted rootlets before it is ground in the mill to a fine sieve, correct for mashing. This is called the grist. The grist is then tempered with hot water in a vessel called the mash tun. This is where a mixture of this grist and water, called the wort, is created. The wort is a beige-colored liquid in which the sugars are extracted from the starch present in the grist. Spent grains are yielded as a byproduct called the draff, which is returned to the farmlands as fodder for farm animals. A washback, traditionally made of Douglas fir or American pine, is a vessel where the wort is fermented to convert the sugars into alcohol. Yeast is added at a specific temperature, not exceeding 34 degrees centigrade, and 60 hours later you get a beer-like liquid with about 8% ABV. A fun fact, if you were working in a distillery, a filtered down version of the spent from the washback, called a Joe, would have been your daily guilty pleasure. Or not, because beer is after all as healthy as a salad. But it's not the Joe nor the wash that we are here for. The wash, when distilled twice, is what gives birth to the spirit we are all hooked onto. Distillation columns, called stills, are made out of copper and are uniquely designed to have a pot-type shape. Since alcohol has a boiling point well below water, the fluid in the pot is heated such that the yielded condensate is alcohol in a clear, transparent appearance. In the wash still, the alcohol from the wash is distilled to yield a spirit having an ABV of about 21 to 30%, known as the low wines. These low wines are further distilled in the spirit still to produce alcohol with an ideal ABV of 70%. Condensate with a stronger ABV, called the heads, and the weaker one, called the tails, are redistilled till the desired ABV is achieved. The length of the neck in these stills play a significant role in the characteristic note of the spirit. A tall lantern produces light but complex flavors, while a shorter one will produce robust ones. Once distilled, the spirit is stored in casks made of either American oak or Spanish oak and left to mature for a minimum of 3 years for the spirit to be legally recognized as Scotch malt whisky. The spirit draws flavors from the casks, and hence each whisky will be characterized by the kind of cask used. American oak usually instills robust, sweet flavors, while Spanish oak results in rich, nutty, and fruity ones. If whisky is God's drink, then how could he leave his angels behind? Up to 2% of the alcohol from the maturing spirit evaporates through the porous casks every year, having been lost to the angels as a part of the share. This is why a whisky aged 20 years will have a lower ABV but a stronger defined color and even stronger flavors. That being the case, most Scots would agree that a whisky matured between 12 and 18 years is just about perfect. Maturing ends as soon as the whisky is bottled and shipped across the world for one and all to savor. In James Joyce's words, the light music of falling whisky in a glass is the perfect interlude. Like making whisky, there is an art in the right way to drink whisky as well. Put a drop of ice cold water in a dram to open up the flavors. Nose your whisky, take a short sip, and let it sit in your mouth as the flavors open up, before rinsing it around and gulping it down to extract the full flavor on your palate. So, what are you waiting for? Open your bottle, pour yourself a drink, cause there is no such thing as bad whiskey, just some are better than others.